This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Metal Resources has announced the results of its drilling campaign at the Molopo Farms complex project in Botswana. The project exploration aimed to discover large-scale nickel and platinum group element deposits, and the campaign completed nearly 2,500 meters of drilling across 5 drill holes, targeting 4 individual target areas. Now, of course, these drill holes were designed to test the geophysical conductors identified by the company's earlier TDEM geophysics survey, and they have successfully intersected mineralization, including gold, platinum, and palladium. Well, joining us now is CEO of Power Metal Resources, Sean Wade, to hopefully explain a little bit more about this very lengthy RNS document. Welcome onto Stockbox, Sean. How are you doing?
Hi, Mark. Thanks very much. Doing very well, thank you, and thanks very much for having me on again.
Could you perhaps just give us a high-level overview, let's say, of this document, because it is very long. There's lots of tables in there with results. So just try and explain it to investors as best you can.
Yes, thanks, Mark. Yes, look, it is a very comprehensive analysis, and I'm very aware that it's a long document and quite specialist, in its format. But essentially, what this is telling you, I hope, and I hope the message that comes out clearly, is that we've found the required ingredients which would allow for the formation of a magmatic sulfide deposit. So, from that point of view, this is a highly successful campaign. We updated the market on the 7th of February, and this follows on from that. So these are the results, that follow on from that update. And at that time, we postulated a geological model which has been confirmed by the analysis of this drill program. Now, what this really allows me now to do is to take this set of results to potential strategic partners to see if we can work out a strategic joint venture for the project. I think people will understand that this is a nearly 1,500 square meter project footprint, and this has been a big drilling program, 2,500 roughly meters of drill holes. But really, in a project area of that size, to really prove out the deposit and to make it into an economic success, you're looking at very substantially more drilling required. I mean, in the tens of thousands of meters. So, whilst it would have obviously have been great to have to hit the mother lode, as it were, I think it was always much more likely that we would prove the model and be able to take it to a point where we can crystallize the value. And I think it's important to put that into the context of our model. I think people know that the power metal model is a capital light model. We don't carry a lot of capital on the balance sheet. We are very careful custodians of shareholders' money, and our objective is to take on early stage projects, add value through investment in management, drilling, geology, and so on, and then take those projects to the next stage, whether that be IPOs in the case of Golden Metal and First Development, or in this case, what we hope to be a strategic joint venture with a corporate partner.
Okay, so does this really fit into the whole business model of Power Metal Resources? Because, of course, as you say there, you are looking for partners. The RNS stated about the underexplored nature of the area due to the Kalahari sand cover. And it lists a lot of possible next steps, but it doesn't seem to suggest that Power will be actually taking any of those steps going forward. So is this the best decision for shareholders to now look for someone to partner with to take it further? I mean, what would be the plan? To partner, to sell it off? What are you thinking?
Yeah, we're very much the former. We're looking to partner this. I mean, this is potentially, a world-class asset. And I think, that's clear. I think that's the expectation that our shareholders have. And that's certainly the indications that we've got from this program. So, we want to participate in that, and we want the shareholders to receive that value. So what I would really, the first prize for me would be a strategic joint venture with an earning arrangement with a corporate, where we can continue to participate in the project. We've done a lot of the hard yards here, but what I don't think shareholders are expecting is to have to fund it, through through a capital raise or anything of that nature. It is our model to crystallize value and to take projects from, as I say, from an early stage to the point at which we can then do deals with them. And those conversations are necessarily at a very early stage. Some of them, they are naturally obviously behind closed doors. But when we are able to say more, then obviously we will. But what I can say is that we've received interest, incoming interest recently, and those conversations are active.
Okay, so there are conversations active. You're not obviously able to say who they are with, but what sort of parties could they be, for example?
Well, I think people would certainly recognise the names of the companies. So these are corporates. These are well-known mining companies. So in other words, we're not talking to financial investors or private equity or anything like that. Not that those would not be welcome, of course, but what we're starting to engage with well-known mining companies that have some interest in the commodity set and in obviously in most cases some form in the region. So but that's really safe to say that's that's all I can really say at this point.
Okay. Well, let's leave Molopo Farms there for now, and hopefully we can hear more about that, perhaps as those discussions do indeed advance. Can I ask you, of course, you're new to the role of CEO in Power Metal Resources. It's the second time that we're speaking. How has the first 6 weeks been in the job for you? How are you finding it?
Well, it's been very exciting, Mark. And I think we spoke, didn't we, 6 weeks ago about what the vision was for the role. And it's been great. Look, I mean, I've had an opportunity to have a great look at the whole asset set and to meet with and discuss things with our current partners and obviously all the stuff across the business. And it's what I believe to be the case has become even more clear to me, which is that there is enormous amount of inherent value in this business, which it's my job to unlock, and we're on our way to doing that. And I think I said 6 weeks ago that our first priority was the Golden Metals, Gold Metal Resources IPO, and we've been able to report that is indeed well underway. The Schedule 1 has been released, and we expect to confirm shortly that is moving rapidly towards a listing. So that's great. First bit of news. We also said we would be releasing the Molopo results, and obviously that's what this morning's all about. So that's happened. And I know that some people have felt that perhaps there hasn't been as much news flow as they would like, but regulatory news sort of does tend to come when it comes. It's necessarily lumpy and it's not sort of completely linear. But what we've tried to do, I think, is to keep people up to date with what we've been up to. We've done a lot on Twitter talking about our projects and commodities. We've obviously had the AGM and a Q&A associated with that. I think we've put out some updates on our uranium portfolio, including an interview we've done and a video showcasing the portfolio. And I'm always available for conversations with shareholders at any time. And I have engaged with a number of shareholders on an individual basis who've been in touch. So I think my communication style, I think it's fair to say, is probably what I hope at least is reasonably high impact. We want to put out RNS when we've really got something to say, and but it is absolutely my goal to keep shareholders fully informed of what we're doing, and I hope I believe we're doing that, and obviously I intend to continue on that in that vein.
Okay. Now, what would be your, and of course, subsequently the company's focus going forward? Of course, Power Metals is got a vast portfolio of projects. Are you going to keep that same business model, or is there going to be more of a focus in a particular area?
Well, I think we've been clear on this, that the uranium portfolio, over time, is going to be the core focus of the business. We've got 16 properties in and around the Athabasca Basin. I share Paul's view, Paul, my predecessor's view, that we're set for a fantastic bull market in uranium, and we're incredibly well positioned there to be London's leading uranium exploration company. So I think if people look at what is going to stay, as it were, as the core part of the portfolio, I would point them towards uranium. But But that said, we have, as you say, a broad asset set, and nothing will change overnight. It is still absolutely key to the model that we take early stage projects, add value to them, and seek to crystallize that value, which is, as I said, what we've done with first class metals previously, what we're just about to do with golden metal, what we're about to do with first development, with Molopo. Beg your pardon, looking for a strategic partner.
Okay.
The model is absolutely intact and consistent with what shareholders expect and what's gone before.
Okay, so just a final thought. Would you say anything to shareholders who perhaps invested in that original power model, that diverse portfolio, and maybe even invested in Paul?
Yes, well, I mean, look, I'm as much of a fan of Paul as everybody, and he's the reason I'm here. So, in a manner of speaking, I've invested very heavily in him as well, and in the model he's created. And I do hope that investors will see the continuity of the model under my leadership that they've seen under Paul. I think we were clear when we spoke 6 weeks or so ago that there would be no significant changes to what we're doing, and the model is absolutely intact. And I think what's important, I think, to just to reiterate, is this is a capital light model. We don't raise vast amounts of money. My job and Paul's before me is to be a very careful custodian of shareholder funds. I'm very conscious that shareholders are heavily invested. They've been asked to put money in during difficult times in the market, and our job is to make sure that capital is wisely spent and looked after. And I would say that on Molopo, obviously the drill program was put in place under Paul's leadership, but he did it exactly as I would have done it, which is to say, let's spend the money we need to spend to get this to a point where we can take it to a major, rather than let's keep spending money to with a lot of hope value to turn it into a major find. If it turns into a major find, that's a great bonus. But the objective was always to get it to a stage where it can be taken to someone who really has deeper pockets. So, our job is to, as I say, to look after shareholders' funds carefully, but to run the business, on a capital light basis.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us today, Sean Wade, the CEO of Power Metal Resources.
Thanks very much, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.